There's a documentary that has just filled me with delight. There's a Hulu documentary, many of you may know what I'm talking about, that's focused on the Dana Carvey Show. And a show that you really got your start.
Yeah, I had done some work before that, but that was really, I got my break. Dana Carvey and Robert Smigel, of course, your old friend.
Yes, Robert Smigel, brilliant comedy writer.
He hired me, and Steve Carell.
Steve Carell was in the cast, and I remembered this very well because I am friends with Dana. I remember the launch of this show, and the show didn't last long.
No, we only shot 8 of them. Only 7 of them made to air. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's interesting about the documentary, it's so fascinating to me, is because so many people are interested in behind the scenes of comedy, is you had these powerhouses of talent.
Oh, and unbelievable. Robert Carlock, who did 30 Rock, Kimmy Schmidt with Tina. Charlie Kaufman, of course, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, all that. I made genius people, Louis C.K., incredible people working on it, and just evaporated like a snowball coming in from low orbit.
Yeah.
Did not last.
This was a primetime show, and this was back when...
Primetime was primetime.
Primetime gave you a massive budget. This was a big network, massive budget.
Oh, unbelievable. I had already worked for a small cable show called Exit 57, and we were like, you wrote a sketch and go like, oh, there's a jackhammer. And our producers would go, do you have a jackhammer? Because I don't have a jackhammer. So I go over there. I'm living in Chicago. I get the job in New York. I fly to New York a month before my wife and our child come out there. So I'm living by myself in the city. And Robert Smigel, again, the executive producer, goes, hey, you should pack a bag. We got to go to Florida to shoot the second half of a 3-minute sketch that we shot in New York.
Yeah.
We're just going to shoot the second half in Florida because we need some warm weather for it.
Right.
So I go, oh, okay. So I go down to Florida and...
For the second half of a 3-minute sketch.
Yeah. That's the old network money.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
Only HBO has that now. And so I go down to Florida, and I haven't talked to my wife, and there are no cell phones, there are only pay phones. This is 95 or 96, something like that. And so what we're doing is we're doing this thing where we're doing quote-unquote animal experiments. I'm one of the Rockefellers in the Rockefeller Institute for Animal Studies or something. And we're just doing things like gluing things to mice and stuff like that. Not really, don't hate me.
This was the sketch. This was the sketch premise.
The sketch. And this sketch premise was we wanted to see what would happen if you threw a horse out of an airplane. Like what happens to its heart rate.
Yes.
It has a parachute and everything.
Right.
So they build like, I shit thee not, like a $15,000 horse prop.
Yes.
Articulated limbs, full size, drive it overnight all the way down to Florida. We're down there waiting for it to come. They put it in an old US like Army Constellation, jump plane. They fly it over this field in Florida just for a test drop, just to see what it would look like before we roll the cameras. No cameras rolling, nobody's doing anything, and I decide, oh, I'll call my wife. So I call my wife on the phone, and I go, hey, Evie, hi, yes, listen. And I said, yeah, listen, I'm down in Florida, and she goes, what are you doing in Florida? And I said, well, we have to throw the horse out of the plane down here. And she goes, what horse out of what plane? I say, hold on, it's coming over right now. And at that moment, the horse in the plane came over, and I just start shrieking because they push the horse out of the plane and becomes transcendently clear within seconds that the parachute is not going to open up. And I'm just on the phone going, my wife thinks that I'm being killed, I'm being murdered.
Of course.
Because I'm just shrieking, and the horse plummets at terminal velocity and explodes when it hits the field. So we rebuilt it. We stayed a couple extra days. And I said to myself at that moment, I have to get back to that network money someday.
There was days, I tell stories now, we all tell stories about the early 90s and network TV. You remember this, Andy. Our writers, Louis C.K. was a writer on the show. It was his first job in TV. And Dino Stamatopoulos, all these great people were working on the show. And every night, they would pick the most expensive restaurant in New York, order food on it, and charge it to NBC. And I'd come in, and they would be cracking lobsters, wearing giant bibs, and laughing.
We went to a Kobe steakhouse in Florida on the same trip, where, again, we're not shooting anything. The horse exploded. No. And we went to a Kobe steakhouse, and we said, we'll have the surf and turf. And they said, we don't have that. And I said, bring us a full lobster dinner, bring us a whole Kobe steak dinner.
Yes.
And everybody at the table. I think that's why we're canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
Through everything.
The entire budget was gone.
Yeah.